His wife sent him beyond the kingdom fortress to die. Instead, Levi turned that orc frontier into the strongest knight territory. He awakened inside a stranded carriage, surrounded by wasteland and armed escorts. Ahead waited storm territory, where several previous barons had already died. His hidden panel granted one attribute point every single day. Super Precognition also warned him of nearby hostility and future danger. Its first warning exposed 55 bandits waiting along the road. That ambush became Levi a Euro's first step from disposable husband to frontier lord. The ability proved accurate before his escort entered the enemy kill zone. By stopping the carriage early, Levi saved the knights meant to protect him. Charlie explained that storm territory lay several days beyond Grey Fortress, directly between the kingdom and the northern wilderness. That explained why the original Levi was scared to death. It was effectively a frontline outpost. He was left to the original Levi by his mother before she died. When Charlie realized Levi was actually talking again, he got emotional, almost crying. Charlie begged him to turn back and go to the capital, saying the territory must be a mistake. From the original Levi's memories, Levi worked out the whole picture. She'd fought off her own uncles to secure her family's title after her father died. Once the marriage was official, she engineered his embarrassment at the wedding to have an excuse to send him away and gave him a baron title so he'd. The dangerous location of the territory, though, that was probably someone else's doing. So, going back meant giving up the title, and without it, even Angelus wouldn't spare him. Levi began thinking about just running away somewhere safe and using his modern knowledge to build a new life. Name: Levi Lewis. Flame breathing method: beginner apprentice knight, 79 out of 100. Horsemanship: beginner, 3 out of 10. 1 passive danger warning per day. 1 kilometer, range, 3-day advance notice, plus the ability to sense hostility from people nearby. Energy essence, 0. Looking at his new ability panel, Levi received truly excited. Skipping the need for the rare life source liquid that normally only big nobles could get through military achievements. That meant as long as Levi stayed alive long enough, there was no rank Levi could not reach, all the way up to Sky Knight, Holy Knight, or even Legendary. Normally, only one in hundreds of knights ever awakened an innate talent. Levi could not help laughing out loud, which made poor old Charlie think Levi'd lost his mind again. Levi'd handle the territory problem. 55 bandits were hiding in the bushes about 1 kilometer ahead. Levi informed the driver to stop the carriage and got out. These knights were from the Tulip family, only lent to him for 2 years to help set up the new territory. So, their attitude toward him wasn't great. Clay paused, looked, and immediately realized something was wrong. Levi wanted to go with them. Levi needed energy essence to awaken new talents and upgrade existing ones. But Levi was just an apprentice knight. Better to play it safe and wait until Levi became a real knight. Their leader, the first-rank warrior, had been told by some mysterious contact that their escorts were just mercenaries with fancy gear. Clearly a lie. The bandit leader tried to sneak attack Clay, but Clay saw it coming and took his head off with a single sword strike. Only 5 or 6 managed to escape into the bushes. The fight was over in minutes. That explained why they were so effective against a bunch of ragtag bandits. Clay reported 23 bandits killed, 6 escaped, and 27 captured. Levi praised his team, but Levi could still feel the distance between them. So, Levi chose to be straight with them. But the territory swap wasn't his doing. Someone was sabotaging them. The knights exchanged looks, and Clay's attitude shifted. Next, Levi raised the question about the bandits' strange courage. He confessed that someone had hired them to ambush them, and they'd been told their escorts were just mercenaries with fancy gear, not real knights. Someone truly was plotting against him. Levi reasoned it out. These bandits were meant to weaken Clay's squad so Levi'd die faster once Levi reached storm territory. The group were all in the same boat now. The group had no choice but to keep moving forward. At least that would bring in some money for supplies at the fortress. It sat between the Grey Mountains in a strategic position. It was only built 250 years ago after a huge gold mine was discovered nearby, which convinced the royal family to send 3 whole legions to defend the construction. Now, only the 8th Battalion of the Northeast Legion was stationed here, led by a 5th-rank Silver Knight named Klein. It was a special policy to make sure nobles who earned frontier territories through military merit could actually develop their lands and not feel cheated. He took him to a camp that reeked. The 1,000 serfs they gave him were all elderly, women, and children. The 50 elite soldiers were skin and bones. The quantities were clearly short of what the kingdom's regulations required. This obviously wasn't just some quartermaster acting on his own. So, Levi smiled and asked Roland directly whether his commander or deputy commander had arranged this. At that point, Levi played his card. The moment Levi mentioned Angelus's name, Roland nearly fell apart. Seeing him squirm, Levi let him off easy. So, he should hold on to everything for him. He thought Levi had given in too easily. Levi clarified his thinking. The real play was simple. They couldn't force him out. And if Levi was late arriving at Storm territory, and it became an issue in the capital, Angelus would find out about everything. But Levi had another reason to stall that Levi kept to himself. In just 15 more days, Levi'd have enough to break through to full night. That evening, Levi had old Charlie buy plenty of wine and meat for everyone. Meanwhile, Levi later learned that the quartermaster Roland had gone running to Deputy Commander Odin to report what happened. He decided to wait and see, hoping Levi truly was the foolish pretty boy he'd been told about. Levi inspected his panel, 8 attribute points now. Levi chose to use the waiting time to train with Clay's knights and pick up some combat experience. Levi needed skilled workers for his new territory: blacksmiths, carpenters, stonemasons, bricklayers. Levi understood the theory of things, but couldn't actually build anything himself. It was filthy with waste everywhere, and the slaves sat naked in cages with dead eyes. Slaves here cost about half what they did inland. Anyone over 35 or under 10 was just 1 or half a gold coin. There were even supernatural profession slaves, captured warriors from noble wars who couldn't pay their ransoms. That price scared him right off. After paying for food, lodging, and keeping enough for the knights' and soldiers' wages, Levi only had around 500 gold to spend. After half an hour of searching, Levi finally found a slave trader with the craftsmen Levi needed. Levi negotiated a deal: 2 veterinarians, 3 carpenters, 5 bricklayers, 4 stonemasons, and 5 blacksmiths for 450 gold coins. He wasn't happy about it, but when Clay mentioned Levi was the new Baron of Storm territory, the trader agreed immediately. He even offered to include the slaves' families for free. Just 2 middle-aged women and 2 scrawny kids belonging to the cook and tailor. The trader had played him for a fool. Levi left 250 gold as a deposit and told him to keep the slaves fed while Levi stayed at the fortress for a couple more weeks. Next, Levi wandered over to the non-human slave section, and his eyes went wide. They were cheap because beastmen were hard to tame and ate too much. They looked mostly human, but had animal ears, tails, and different eye colors. But ironically, certain female subhumans were highly prized by nobles as luxury slaves. Blue eyes, pointed ears. She was stunning. This white wolf woman was a 4th-rank great warrior. Only 4 people in the entire Grey Fortress were that strong. Way too cheap for someone that powerful, which meant something was very wrong. After fleeing the slave market, Levi judged carefully about what happened. It only went off when Levi considered buying her. She would have killed him if Levi tried to purchase her. Back in their lodgings, Levi called Clay in privately and told him about the 4th-rank great warrior disguised as a slave. Clay was shocked, but agreed the group needed to report this to the fortress leadership. Levi gave Clay 10 gold coins and sent him to pump the slave trader Quint for information. Levi was exhausted by the end, but checked his panel and found nothing had improved at all. No natural talent here. Clay came back that evening with useful intel. No connection to Southern politics. That made Klein the safest bet. He immediately tried to shut down any talk about his supplies, saying it wasn't his department. Levi asked him to clear the room, then told him straight. Levi discovered a beastman spy inside the fortress. Klein shot to his feet. He took it very seriously. He explained that Grey Fortress had magic detection arrays at both gates. A 4th-rank warrior sneaking in should have been impossible. Levi warned him not to confront her directly, or the slave market would get wrecked in the fight, and he'd have to answer for letting a spy slip past his defenses. Over an hour later, he came back with a grim face and gave him a formal noble's bow. He'd confirmed everything. Without his tip, they'd never have found her. Levi lied and said Levi had gear from the Tulip family. Nobody would risk offending the Tulip household just to verify his claim. Klein bought it completely. Next, Levi asked how he planned to deal with the spy. The woman was too alert to capture quietly, and if things got messy, His rival deputy commander Odin would use it against him politically. Levi saw his opening. They were both 5th rank, but Odin had connections to someone powerful in the capital and was constantly scheming to take Klein's position. The group watched the wolf woman and wait for her to make a move, signaling that her beastman allies were getting close. Once Odin was gone, Klein could tell everyone the spy was actually bait he'd planted deliberately to lure out the beastmen, and Odin's mission was to cut off their retreat. If the beastmen outside escaped, that would be Odin's failure for not doing his job properly. He agreed it could work. The wolf woman's spy was already inside. No hiding that. A brilliant ambush plan that failed because of someone else's mistake was much better than admitting a spy slipped past undetected. What if Odin actually ran into the beastmen outside? The beastmen's goal was the fortress itself. They'd only deal with him after taking the fortress, which obviously wasn't going to happen now. He told him to stay at the fortress as long as Levi needed, and once he dealt with Odin, he'd personally arrange his supplies even better than what Levi was originally supposed to get. Levi spent every single day training inside the courtyard without going out once. Most importantly, his attribute points had finally reached 20. Today was the day. Levi'd already asked Clay about the breakthrough process. The whole thing took less than half a day. Levi dumped 19 attribute points into the flame-breathing method. Next, his body started changing. His skin peeled off like a snake shedding, replaced by new skin that was smoother and coated with a transparent layer that boosted physical and magical defense. It started pounding faster, and all the energy in his body rushed toward it. The pain was incredible. Levi understood this was the critical moment of forming the life seed. Finally, after one last wave of agony, his heart stabilized. Next, it reversed. Levi was officially a first-rank knight. Levi could genuinely beat 10 of his former selves. Levi'd crossed from ordinary human into the supernatural. Levi inspected his panel and saw the next milestone. The road ahead had gotten a lot longer. In safe territory, that would be fine, but out here on the dangerous border, it was too slow. The coming beastman attack would be his chance. But since Levi was still a complete rookie with 0 killing experience, Levi planned to focus on archery. For the next 5 days, Levi practiced archery almost non-stop, only occasionally working on flame triple slash. Whoever had been sabotaging him was still out there, and Levi wanted to keep some cards hidden. Clearly, Odin was getting impatient. That night, Levi was woken by a danger warning from his system. The force included 2 5th-rank warriors, 4 4th-rank warriors, and many others. Klein agreed the beastmen couldn't stay hidden near the fortress for long, so they had to be acting soon. He thought Klein was doing this to help him and punish him. Odin had no choice but to obey, though he swore he'd file a complaint afterward. Next, with Odin and his troops heading away from where the beastmen were actually hiding, everything was set. Apparently, beastmen were terrible at siege warfare, and the fortress could hold against forces 10 times their size. That was reassuring. If he delayed one more day, everything would have fallen apart. Their leader figured the humans hadn't actually detected them, since humans always hide behind their walls. Meanwhile, Levi was pushing hard on archery practice. The familiar rush of compressed experience flooded his mind. When Levi opened his eyes, basic archery had reached 1st rank. 10 more shots, 10 bullseyes. Play suggested Levi try the 8th Battalion's proper archery range. At 100 m, 3 out of 10. The next rank up, sharpshooter, was effectively the ceiling for ordinary soldiers. There would be fighting tonight. The wolf woman had made her move. The fighting sounds shifted east, then went quiet. Let's go have a look. Klein had deliberately let some in before closing the gate to make the ambush look real. Levi took his squad to the western side. Deputy Commander Corey assigned them to help the 4th Company, which was undermanned with only about 80 soldiers and 8 professionals. The moment Levi arrived, Levi spotted a 1st-rank jackal pulling himself onto the wall. The arrow hit his throat perfectly. A wisp of white light drifted from his body into mine. Killing supernatural enemies with his own hands truly did produce energy essence. Next, reality hit him. Now that Levi was actually paying attention to the chaos around him, Levi began shaking. Company Commander Peel shouted for him to take out the other 1st-rank jackals on the wall. Meanwhile, Clay intercepted a 2nd-rank jackal that charged at him and actually pushed it back despite being only 1st rank himself, thanks to his superior equipment. His tulip family armor saved him, but his legs went weak seeing how close death was. He took a sword hit, but unleashed a holy cross slash that cut down a 2nd-rank jackal instantly. Levi kept shooting, picking off jackals climbing the wall, and sent half his knights to help defend. It was falling through the air with nowhere to dodge. Another wisp of white light, bigger this time, flowed into him. Levi released 5 or 6 arrows, but couldn't stop it from climbing up. The magic crossbow that Commander Peel used was incredible. Clay explained that standard military crossbows were only second rank, so Peel must have had special ammunition. Levi almost stuck his head out to snipe more of them for energy essence. But Clay yanked him back just before another volley of stones came flying up. When the stones stopped, Clay gave him the clear, and Levi began shooting again, picking off retreating jackals. Peel didn't let anyone rest. Levi followed with his knight squad, and together the group pushed them back. After 2 wall sections were cleared, the other defensive lines pushed back the jackals as well. Their commander, 4th-rank warrior Rock, cut through everything in his path, killing 6 or 7 jackal professionals, including a 4th-rank deputy commander. The other panicked and jumped off the wall to flee. The soldiers on the walls erupted in cheers. Levi looked around at the severed limbs, the blood everywhere, the smell, and Levi lost it. His knights watched him with odd expressions, but nobody laughed. They were actually impressed. Levi held it together through the entire fight before breaking down. He was shocked that the archer who'd performed so well was actually a first-time fighter. He saluted him formally and promised to record all his battle achievements properly. Levi fell asleep the moment Levi received back, completely drained from keeping his focus sharp through the whole battle. Levi worried about his battle achievements being stolen. Military judges were sent directly from the capital, all commoners with no connections, and stationed down to the company level. Anyone caught stealing or faking credit was executed on the spot. The system was simple. 1 first-rank professional kill also earned 9th class, and it scaled up from there. Accumulating enough merit could earn you noble titles. But those lands were almost always on the dangerous frontier. This brutal system was what kept the Alpha Kingdom's nobility fierce and battle-hungry. The battle results were incredible. They'd also captured 34, including 2 first-rank professionals. It was the biggest victory Grey Fortress had seen in years. His group, Storm Territory's forces, had killed 5 first-rank professionals, 1 second-rank professional, and 30 regular soldiers. Levi personally earned 1 8th-class merit and 3 9th-class merits. Klein asked whether Clay's squad should have their merits recorded under Storm Territory or under Tulip Territory. It would affect which noble house benefited. Levi converted Storm Territory's 1 1/2 9th-class merits into 15 first-rank explosive arrows. When Clay tried to protest, normally subordinates' merits go to the Lord, Levi cut him off. Klein nodded approvingly and told him the 8th Battalion's collective merit would be at least 6th class, meaning about 70 gold per soldier. But Klein and Deputy Commander Corey had agreed to give them 500 gold as compensation, plus extra resources for Storm Territory. Rock had badly wounded her, but she was too fast and slipped over the wall. Klein suggested Levi trade his 8th class merit for a life source liquid, normally worth 1,000 to 1,500 gold on the black market. Levi agreed and also traded his 3 9th class merits for a first-rank magic crossbow. After Klein left, Levi split the 500 gold with his team. Between the merits Levi'd registered in their names and the gold, this one trip was already more profitable for them than 10 years serving the Tulip family. Klein had warned him to leave before Odin returned, so Levi needed to move fast. Levi had 13 energy essence points, and 13 was enough to awaken a new talent. Basic speed 0 out of 100. Levi spent 10 points on it, leaving 3. Combined with his archery and precognition, Levi was becoming much more dangerous than his knight rank suggested. It doubled all his speeds, attack, movement, reaction, and agility. His talent pushed him beyond 3rd rank speed, while Levi was still just a 1st rank knight. And if things went bad, Levi could just run. Perfect. That evening, Klein's guard delivered a 1st rank magic crossbow and 15 explosive bolts. The guard also told him Klein wanted him gone by morning. The next morning, Levi went to collect his supplies from the warehouse and was blown away by what Klein had prepared. 400 tons of grain plus 20 tons of preserved meat. 100 horses, 12 of which were actual military war horses. The 50 elite soldiers were the real deal, battle-hardened veterans. They'd serve as drill instructors to train his 800 young male serfs into soldiers. He was a true brother. Levi established Storm Territory's pension system. Any professional who died in battle, Levi'd train one of their children into a professional at the territory's expense. Every soldier dropped to their knees and swore loyalty on the spot. With just the night squad, the group could make it in half a day. The group made camp before sunset, and old Charlie organized the serfs to build fires and cook. Levi did not have nearly enough warm clothes for everyone. Parker, who was blind in one eye, and Jenkins, who was missing 2 fingers on his left hand. Levi gave them a task: pick out 182 of the strongest male serfs along the way. During the rest stop, Levi put his 2 attribute points in a flame triple slash, pushing it to first rank. The next morning, the group set out early. 1,000 meters ahead, a 3rd-rank human knight was fighting a 4th-rank white wolf subhuman woman. Was she fighting one of Odin's men? People deep inside, supplies on the outer edge, livestock moved far away, everyone silent. Levi took Clay and the night squad into the northern woods to observe. The wolf woman was badly hurt, barely defending against a 3rd-rank knight who turned out to be Riga, commander of Odin's 3rd company. He approached carefully, then pulled out a circular device and clasped it around her neck. Next, Riga noticed their fresh tracks on the road and called out for whoever was hiding to show themselves. Levi stared at the wolf woman lying on the ground for a moment, thinking, "Let's go out and see." Riga recognized him immediately and sneered, calling him the pretty boy Baron. He decided to kill him and bring his head to Odin as a gift. Their swords couldn't even scratch him. Their armor cracked open, blood everywhere. Clay called in the 50 elite soldiers to surround him, then charged again. Clay went flying straight toward Riga's raised sword. Riga sensed it at the last instant. The explosive bolt detonated right against him and blasted him backward. It saved Clay's life. He wiped blood from his mouth and made his decision. At his speed, he only needed to dodge 1 crossbow bolt to reach him. Levi released. He thought he had him, but Levi smiled back at him. To him, Levi simply vanished. Before he could process what happened, Levi was behind him. He tried to raise his arm for a counterattack, but a thrown sword from one of his knights struck him in the forehead. Riga dropped dead. Levi'd used extreme speed to flash behind him when he jumped at him, then hit him with flame triple slash. He nearly dodged even with his guard completely down. If Clay hadn't thrown that sword into his forehead, things could have gone badly. Clay rushed over, stunned by what he'd seen. His combat experience was lacking. Levi admitted the truth to Clay. Awakening an innate talent was the ultimate dream for any knight, happening maybe once in hundreds or thousands. The 2 injured apprentice knights, Eric and Thomas, survived, thankfully. Clay stripped Riga's enchanted armor off and searched his inner clothing. The haul was impressive, and a silver wolf warrior breathing method that could train someone up to 3rd rank. Clay guessed Riga had learned his magic from someone else under a noble seal contract, meaning it couldn't be copied. That was concerning, but worrying about it now was pointless. The best find was the magic bracelet. Clay was visibly excited. Whoever held this bracelet could completely control the 4th-rank white wolf subhuman. His eyes lit up. Levi immediately forgot about everything else and asked Clay how to use the magic bracelet. She'd obey from the heart. Instantly, Levi could sense her through the connection. Levi'd have to ask her about that later. Levi could remove the collar anytime or put it on someone else. Levi instructed Clay to clean up the battlefield and erase all traces. The group took a different route, skipped lunch, and marched until nightfall before crossing the Cane River into Storm Corner Peninsula. Beastmen armies generally didn't bother invading here because both routes in were terrible. They'd send maybe 1 battalion at most. A pack of powerful gale wolves had settled in the northwestern mountains and regularly attacked, and a group of Naga sea monsters had migrated to the southern coast. To survive here, Levi needed to secure food production first, then use his precognition talent to deal with the gale wolves. It had inner and outer sections, 12 m walls, about 1,000 m in circumference. A reserve company had been guarding the place since the last Baron died. After the handover, he refused his lunch invitation, packed up in record time, and his entire unit fled the place like it was on fire. After the reserve company practically ran away, Levi stood on the castle walls looking out over his territory. Levi was a real lord. Charlie would handle storing supplies and getting the blacksmiths to repair or make farming tools. Miss the season and everyone starves. Next, Clay and Levi rode out to survey the surroundings. Levi went south to the coast first, since Naga were the most frequent threat. The coastline turned out to be a small bay, sheltered by tiny islands, almost like a natural lake. Clay told him that Naga lived in family tribes. That gave him an idea: clear them out after spring planting, then use the base resources to survive the hardest period. No danger warnings within 5 kilometers of the castle. Previous parents had cleared about 1,000 acres of rice paddies north of the castle along a small river and another 1,000 acres of dry fields to the west. Levi did the math. By next year, Levi'd face a serious food shortage. That night, Levi sat in the study making plans for farming. Later, Levi'd build irrigation channels to convert dry fields into higher-yield paddies. 12 would form a new night squad using the war horses and iron armor Klein had slipped him. Levi'd promote Vice Captain Roger to lead them and lend him the life source liquid from his merit exchange. The remaining 170 recruits would train using the silver wolf breathing method Levi'd taken from Riga. Parker's veterans getting shields, leather armor, and swords as an elite unit, while Jenkins would lead a new spear company. 3 professional knights once the life source liquid arrived, plus the 4th-rank wolfwoman once she woke up. By the following day, Levi called all his military leaders and old Charlie together for a planning meeting. Levi informed him to record exactly which serf was responsible for which acre of land. Good workers would get rewarded with meat. If one person ran, the other 9 would be punished. Levi gave Roger the life source liquid Levi'd earned with his 8th-class merit, lending it to him so he could break through to full knight. He'd been stuck at peak apprentice level for a while, unable to earn enough merit under the Tulip family. Will and Lori, 2 veterans with leg injuries, would each lead an archer squad and handle wall patrols. Parker's infantry company would guard the southern coast against Naga incursions, and Clay's night squad would patrol the border where the peninsula met the wilderness, watching for gale wolves or beastmen. Basic formation exercises to build unit cohesion and discipline. Eric and Thomas had only been knocked unconscious by the impact. No internal damage. Next, Levi sensed through the magic bracelet that the wolfwoman had woken up. She tensed up the moment she saw him, fierce and hostile. Levi informed her to call him sir instead, then asked her name. Mia, she said. Mia told him her story. 2 years ago, a pack of gale wolves forced them to relocate to a misty valley in the west, a place permanently shrouded in fog where no beasts or beastmen ventured. They took over, killed her father, and used her people as hostages to force her into infiltrating Grey Fortress. She told her story shifting between grief, anger, and helplessness. The Jackal Beastmen actually had 3 battalions, not 2. So they were too scared to return to the Beastman grasslands. As for Mia's encounter with Riga, the retreating Jackals had run into Odin's forces. Though the 5th-ranked Jackal leader escaped and Odin himself was badly wounded, she also overheard that Odin wanted to capture her alive as a gift for some unnamed important person. Mia's tribe knew them well. They'd been driven to the eastern mountains after angering a 9th-ranked dragon deeper in the wilderness. Even though the battle cost them half their numbers, nobody dared challenge them anymore. Do not engage any gale wolf under any circumstances, not even a lone one. These wolves are insane. How was Levi supposed to deal with them? For now, all Levi could do was hide behind the castle walls whenever they showed up. Fast for a subhuman, though a human would need a year or more with the same wounds. Afterward, Levi gathered the craftsmen slaves and tried explaining concepts like rammed earth and brickmaking. Complete failure. They only knew how to copy exactly what they were taught. Without proper building materials, half his construction plans were impossible. For now, Levi gave the carpenters and blacksmiths drawings of water wheels and curved plows, things that were simple enough to build from a sketch. A few practice attempts and they'd have it figured out. Finish these tools in time for spring planting, and Levi'd free them from slavery and make them commoners of Storm Castle. Levi informed the stonemasons and bricklayers the same deal. They all rushed off with fire in their eyes, eager to start working. The blacksmiths had successfully built the curved plows, though the group were short on iron. The water wheels still weren't right, but after his suggestions, the carpenters were close to getting them working. 233 soldiers and 818 serfs. The serfs were huddled and slouching. Levi began with 3 hygiene rules for the military. Violators get punished regardless of rank. The barracks and training grounds must be cleaned daily on rotation. This world's hygiene disgusted him, and now that Levi had his own territory, Levi was going to fix it. Next, Levi announced the military compensation system. Regular officers got 5 gold, elite soldiers and apprentice knights got 1 gold, and ordinary soldiers got half a gold coin. The pension system Levi promised earlier stayed the same. War merits from Storm Castle soldiers would belong to him, but Levi'd reward them with 1/3 of the equivalent gold value. These benefits were several times better than the kingdom's military offered, but the serf recruits still looked lost since none of this applied to them yet. Any serf who earned half a ninth-class merit or trained their breathing method to the beginner level would immediately become a commoner with full military benefits starting that same day. Their eyes caught fire. After letting them celebrate for a moment, Levi turned serious. Failing duties, slacking in training, or deserting in battle meant expulsion from the military with a 3-generation ban at best, or execution with your entire family permanently enslaved at worst. Next, Levi turned to the farming serfs and announced their path to freedom. Commoners would receive their own land. They could also volunteer for during the next recruitment. The serfs actually started smiling, probably because they had hope now, and Levi never cut their food rations. They finished plowing all 2,000 acres in just 3 days, and the entire spring planting process, deep plowing, furrowing, seeding, watering, took only about 15 days total. 15 days in the spring planting, Levi had 21 attribute points saved up. Levi'd need an advanced archery manual to go further. Hill had already broken through to apprentice knight using the flame-breathing method, and Martin had reached elite soldier level with the Silver Wolf method. 2 archers named Ron and Yuri also showed good talent. Levi had Jenkins recall all the serfs inside the walls, then led the new knight squad, both archer squads, and 50 spearmen south to reinforce Parker. Parker's veterans were cutting through them, but the formation was messy. Levi noticed the Naga professionals were hanging back, apparently using the sea monsters as expendable fodder. 50 shield bearers paired with 50 spearmen in 2 alternating rows. One row thrusting while the other reset. Even the new recruits calmed down when they had clear, simple orders to follow. When sea monsters tried flanking them, Levi directed the 2 archer squads to cover each side. Next, a first-rank Naga professional came within a 100 m. A wisp of white energy essence light floated into him. After Levi killed the first Naga professional, the others got cautious. Bigger body meant higher rank. It blocked his first arrow with its spiked club, but Levi immediately fired 2 more. 2 kills in under a minute, earning him another chunk of energy essence. They'd figured out there was a sharpshooter among them. The group finished up and rushed back to the castle. About 20 or 30 Gale wolves were heading their way, led by a 5th-rank wolf. 2 4th-rank, 3 3rd-rank, over a dozen lower-rank professionals, and nearly 500 sea monsters. Not a single enemy for weeks, and now everything attacks at once. The Gale wolves couldn't scale 12 m walls on an uphill slope, and the Naga had no siege capability whatsoever. The freshly planted fields were that way. The Gale wolves and Naga had run into each other and were fighting. From the west side, Levi could see Naga and sea monsters fleeing desperately toward the ocean with the wolf pack chasing them down. The wolves were down to about 20, but every single one was at least 2nd rank. Even the 5th-rank wolf leader had a fresh wound across its eye. Levi grabbed Clay and Roger, and the group sneaked out to a hilltop about a kilometer from the beach to watch. The Naga had sent out their own 5th-rank fighter, and both sides were tearing each other apart in the surf. Levi made a mental note to build a telescope. The moment possible, Levi watched the battle from their hiding spot for over half an hour. They fought to the death even when they were clearly losing. By then, only 5 wolves remained. The Naga losses were horrifying. Just when Levi judged the wolves had won, a trident flew out of the ocean and pinned a 3rd-rank wolf to the ground. A 7th-rank wolf pack, a 6th-rank Naga tribe. Levi was seriously considering relocating when his danger sense exploded. A deafening roar shook the air. They went white as ghosts and flattened themselves on the ground. The 5th-rank wolf leader didn't even make it a kilometer before the bear caught it. The bear roared at the sky in triumph. It was literally a giant panda, except it was 5 m tall. Fully mature ones hit 9th rank, and bear kings could reach legendary level. The group were drenched in cold sweat. The entire sea went calm in seconds. The bear watched them scatter, seemed to think about it for a moment, then leaped and landed right in front of him, cratering the ground. Clay and Roger turned back to help him, but a single roar from the bear froze them in place. If Levi wanted to kill you, you'd already be dead. Magical beasts were supposed to need 9th-rank power to use telepathy. First, call off your guys before they do something stupid. Whatever you need, big brother, Levi'll do his best to help. Levi've got a grudge against those Gale wolves. Levi managed an awkward smile. The bear was curious how Levi understood about its feud with the wolves. He seemed satisfied and introduced himself as Storm Panda. Levi'm not one of those stupid earth bears. First, get him human liquor as much as possible. Third, keep watch on the Gale Wolf King, who is close to breaking through to 8th rank. Levi tried to explain that Levi was broke, weak, and his only fighters were 2 first-rank knights and an injured 4th-rank subhuman still bedridden in his castle. A single 6th-rank crystal cost 200,000 to 500,000 gold. When Panda said maybe the group couldn't cooperate after all, Levi panicked. Levi blurted out that Levi brew the best, strongest liquor in the human world, and that once his territory was stable, Levi'd earn enough money to buy him those crystals. Panda crouched down with sparkling eyes, suddenly looking like an excited child. Levi clarified Levi could buy cheap, low-grade wine from Grey Fortress and distill it into something far stronger than anything he'd ever tasted. He was disappointed it would take a month, but accepted. Levi looked at his 5M body and pointed out he might scare his people to death. As the group rode back, Levi noticed all the wolf and naga corpses scattered everywhere and asked if he wanted them. No, but save him the 5th-rank wolf's meat. Levi eat meat occasionally. His eyes lit up. The dead wolves and naga were a gold mine. Their meat contained magical energy that could speed up a warrior's training. Since Panda didn't want any of it, Levi immediately sent Clay back to bring people to collect everything from the beach and from the northern river valley where the earlier battle had happened. If they didn't want to die, they'd better leave. That was the best news yet. The food shortage from damaged farmland could be solved with sea resources. As long as Levi kept Panda happy, the Gale wolf problem might get solved too. Levi asked about his injuries. With 30 to 56th rank fire cores, he could reach 7th rank in a year and 8th rank in 3. Levi could not afford even one. Panda asked him to get him fresh bamboo from a grove 10 kilometers east and some money. Soldiers to guard his space, Parker to fetch bamboo and honey, and promised to plant bamboo in his yard. A terrifying, adorable, 5M tall cat that could crush cities. Levi also told him those damaged plots would count as completed for this year. Next, Levi asked Charlie for any alcohol in the castle. That night, Levi set up a crude distillery in the kitchen, wrapped them in wet cloth for cooling, and started heating. Finally, the group produced something around 40% or 50% alcohol. It was past midnight, but Levi grabbed 2 jars and headed straight for Panda's courtyard. Levi sealed off the kitchen and had Clay bring the bamboo to Panda's courtyard. Levi handed him the 2nd jar and explained this was all Levi had. He was thrilled, calling it the best drink he'd ever had. As he switched to sipping slowly to make it last, nibbling bamboo between drinks, Clay and Levi quietly left the courtyard. The group tamed an 8th-rank magical beast with cheap booze. This creature might even have the potential to become a legendary bear king someday. The next morning, Levi inspected his panel. The naga were about to relocate thanks to Panda's warning, so that source of energy essence was drying up. Over half the rice paddies in Storm River Valley had been destroyed. Those paddies were their main food source. 28 Gale wolf corpses, including 1 5th rank, 6 3rd rank, 10 2nd rank, and 11 1st rank, plus 12 sea monster professionals. When those creatures were alive, they could have wiped out Storm Castle a dozen times over. Everything else would be sold. Nobody there had ever seen that kind of money in their lives. One lucky day of other people's battles had made them rich. Yesterday, Levi had a few hundred gold coins. But hoarding money in this world was dangerous. Levi gave everyone their orders. Charlie would get the damaged fields replanted, and Clay would clean up the wolf sin around the castle using purification water before resuming border patrols. 2 new companies needed equipping. 100 spears for 500 and supplies for 3 new archer squads for 610. That came to about 14,000 gold, leaving the rest for grain and, most importantly, sheep wine for distilling. Got any more of that liquor? Levi clarified again that the castle was completely dry. He was very pleased, though he couldn't actually read the document. He didn't like staying small all the time, but he promised to sense any 6th-rank threat and come help immediately. He gave him a look. Am Levi your pet? But if you insist on his help, 1 6th-rank fire magic core per 5th-rank kill. That meant Levi need to find something even stronger to pay him for killing something strong. Absolutely not. If it comes, Levi'll be waiting on the islands outside the bay. If it breaks through to 8th rank, well, send him all the liquor you've got. Over the next 3 days, the veterans processed all the corpses. She was back to full 4th rank strength. Levi'd bring Clay, Mia, and a full company of soldiers to sell everything and buy what storm territory needed to grow. The trip took 2 days with no trouble. A 4th rank subhuman walking into the fortress would only cause problems Levi did not need. He was surprised to hear Levi had broken through to full knight. Levi had hidden the valuable Gale wolf pelts and Naga scales under a layer of ordinary hides on the cart. His arrival naturally caught Odin's attention. He was still furious from everything that had happened. After being sent out on his search mission, Odin had stumbled onto the retreating jackals and fought a brutal battle. His 3 companies took 60 casualties between dead and disabled. No wolfwoman, no slavery law ring, and he lost a 3rd-rank knight captain. He was docked a 6th-class merit and had to pay compensation to the 60 soldiers' families out of his own pocket. Klein was thrilled about all of it. He'd lost soldiers, lost face, lost money, and unknowingly gifted him a 4th-rank warrior, a set of enchanted armor, a magic bracelet, 1,000 gold, and several skill manuals. Odin had lost control of the 3rd company after Riga's disappearance. The only reason Odin wasn't completely ruined was that his powerful backer in the capital had intervened. Next, Klein asked why Levi was back so soon. When Levi drew out 27 Gale Wolf magic cores, 6 3rd rank, 10 2nd rank, 11 1st rank, Klein's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Next, Levi showed him the inventory list. 28 wolf pelts, including a 5th rank one, plus dozens of Naga and sea monster scale hides, ranging from 1st to 5th rank. He asked if Levi had wiped out the wolves and Naga. Levi clarified that the Naga attacked his farmland. By the time Levi arrived, only the weaker ones were left and Levi'd killed a few himself. Levi left out the 6th-rank Naga and the 8th-rank giant panda, obviously. The problems that had killed every previous baron had just solved themselves. Levi had a shopping list, 1,000 serfs, weapons and armor for expanding his army, grain, and cheap wine. Klein called his steward to calculate everything. After the math was done, his sales covered all his purchases with about 1,000 gold coins left over. Selling to Klein was the safest option. After agreeing on prices with Klein, Levi asked him to keep the deal quiet and deliver his purchases to the Cane River, rather than handing them over inside the fortress. Klein understood. He didn't mind since the Lincoln Duke family's reputation kept anyone from messing with him directly. The group toasted to their partnership. By the following day, Levi had Captain Peel show him around the fortress on his day off. Useful information for future money-making plans. So, Levi had Creel and a few soldiers watch Odin's mansion. The Grey Mountains were full of bandits and wild men, runaway serfs, and deserters who'd become outlaws. Levi was not too worried, though. After 2 more days of waiting, Klein's supplies were finally ready. Once the group left the fortress, Levi set up a precaution. The 2 groups stayed 500 to 800 meters apart. The second day at noon, his danger sense went off. Odin had gone all out. Clay's group was only about 400 m from the ambush. Clay stopped and formed position. A masked man in black, apparently their leader, wasn't too concerned. Just charge and kill them all. The new recruits were nervous. Clay steadied them, reminding them they'd already beaten sea monsters, and that these bandits were just easy war merit. Mia would take on the 3rd-rank leader. Creel would lead his soldiers to flank the bandits from the side. Next, Levi shouted the signal, and everyone burst from the trees. Levi released at the 2nd-rank masked man next. The bandits instantly fell apart. Faster ones crashed into the ones who'd stopped. Total chaos. Clay seized the moment and charged forward, too. Before he could finish his threat, Levi put an arrow through his throat. Mia reached the 3rd-rank leader and hit him so hard he flew several meters back. Bandits were trampling each other trying to run. Once a few dropped their weapons, the rest followed like dominoes. Only the ones with serious crimes kept fighting, knowing surrender meant execution anyway. Levi released arrows at his face, throat, and legs to keep him distracted. Levi did not need him alive after all. A massive ball of white light, far bigger than the 2nd-rank once, flew from his body into mine. A 3rd-rank kill was worth 100 points. After the battle, Levi immediately upgraded his Super Precognition talent, spending 101 energy points. 2 danger warnings per day instead of 1, and the range doubled to 2 kilometers. Levi would have liked to upgrade further, but the system showed no values for the next level. So, his priority now was raising his knight level. They were just serfs playing at being outlaws. Levi went to check on their casualties. The soldier reporting to him credited his formations and his archery support for the incredible result. Levi informed the wounded soldiers their medical costs were covered, and that even if they became disabled, the territory would give them jobs. Clay reported the final count. Levi personally shot 4 professionals, 2 first rank, 1 second rank, and 1 third rank. Levi considered sending the bodies to Klein as evidence against Odin. The 8th Battalion and Northeast Legion leadership would try to keep it quiet to save face. That was good enough for him. Next, Levi asked about loot from the dead professionals. Nothing, just basic iron armor. That didn't add up. Klein interrogated the prisoners and came back quickly. Only 1 first-rank warrior, the dead leader's younger brother, was guarding it, along with about 10 elite bandits and 40 or 50 regular ones. Time to pay that hideout a visit. If Levi hadn't just upgraded his range from 1 to 2 kilometers, Levi'd never have detected him. Levi forced himself to stay calm and casually move behind Mia to use her as a shield. Clay's face went white for an instant before he controlled it. Their members trained a special eye technique that gave them extreme long-range vision, making them perfect archers. Anyone caught hiring them faced severe punishment. Mia, who knew nothing about assassin guilds, offered the simplest solution. That was how her White Wolf tribe had always dealt with strong archers. Clay loudly announced the group were heading to the bandit hideout, and everyone marched into the southern forest with the prisoners. Levi gave Clay his magic crossbow. Levi kept his regular bow. Shortly after the group set up their ambush, a cloaked figure emerged from the northern forest and crossed to their side. How could a mere first-rank knight spot someone hidden 2 kilometers away? When he reached Clay's position, Clay fired the magic crossbow point blank. Clay retreated to reload, but the assassin didn't chase. He was smart. He was waiting for Mia to reveal her position so he could run the opposite direction. Clay understood this, too. The assassin drew his enchanted bow. They fired simultaneously. Clay went down, but it worked. He barely dodged, and she locked him into close combat, refusing to let him gain distance for his bow. The assassin was accumulating wounds. When Mia met his gaze, she froze for an instant. He followed with a vicious cut to her chest, splitting her armor and drawing blood. She forced him back and dropped to one knee, hand pressed against her chest wound. She nearly died. Cornered by a sharpshooter, a crossbow, and a 4th-rank melee fighter, the assassin made his move. Kill the controller and the enslaved subhuman would lose direction. As he closed in, Levi shouted for Mia and Clay to attack simultaneously. Mia swung at his right. Levi activated extreme speed and charged right at him. He had just enough time to think one word, innate talent, before his head fell from his shoulders. His blade took the assassin's head clean off. Another 100 energy essence points flowed into him. She'd slumped against a tree, the long gash across her chest still bleeding. Levi awkwardly handed her the blood-stopping potion and turned away. Everything on him was 3rd-rank enchanted gear. But the real treasures were 2 documents. A training accelerator that could boost a 1st-rank knight's cultivation speed by 30%. The archery manual would carry him all the way to 4th rank before Levi'd need a new one. And Levi had an entire stockpile of Gale Wolf materials back at Stormcastle. Levi needed to find a meditation method and hope Levi had magical talent. Clay warned him about the enchanted weapons. Maybe 3 shots with the enchanted bow before complete exhaustion. Levi swapped his 2nd-rank enchanted armor for the assassin's 3rd-rank set. Next, Levi gave Mia the 2nd-rank armor and the 3rd-rank short sword. She accepted without hesitation. On top of the 1st-rank enchanted armor Levi'd already ordered for him. He deserved every bit of it. This world was far more dangerous than raw numbers suggested. Levi had Clay destroy the Divine Eye assassin's body. He was confused, but Levi clarified that the Divine Eye Society was far more dangerous than Odin. That would be a death sentence. Assassins took their time on missions, so the society wouldn't get suspicious for a while. The group caught up with Creel's group. Then Levi took Mia and half the soldiers to raid the bandit hideout. It fell easily. The group captured 31 bandits and freed 682 serfs. Most of the wealth had probably gone to Odin as tribute. 2 days later, the group met Klein's delivery convoy at the Cane River. Klein's men recognized the guard captain immediately and rushed back to deliver the proof. The result? Triple speed boost instead of double. Combined with his enchanted armor, And once Levi upgraded Flame Triple Slash, Levi could face a third-rank knight head-on. In less than a month, Storm territory had grown from nothing to nearly half a battalion's worth of troops. Among the serfs rescued from the bandits, one man claimed to be a merchant and wanted to meet him. Levi skeptical. When Levi pressed him, he admitted he wasn't from the Alpha Kingdom at all. His ship had wrecked nearby, and while seeking help, he'd been captured by the bandits. A trader with knowledge of ocean commerce and connections to distant kingdoms. The three of them were stunned. The ocean belonged to the Naga. A private merchant sailing the open sea seemed impossible. Even the Tulip family, with all their mages, couldn't independently exploit ocean resources. Levi asked how far his kingdom was and how long he'd been at sea. His expedition had started with over 100 people, including a 7th-rank knight, 2 6th-rank knights, a 6th-rank grand mage, and many 4th and 5th-rank professionals. A natural disaster damaged their ship. When they finally reached their shores with only 20 survivors, an 8th-rank sea dragon attacked. John, being just a 2nd-rank potion master with no combat skills, hid below deck. He'd walked the wrong direction, gotten captured by the bandits, and was waiting for a chance to escape when Levi raided the hideout. He admitted he'd never bothered learning combat spells beyond the basics because his potion-making skills gave him a comfortable life back home. Levi desperately needed someone who understood magic and alchemy. Levi asked one final question, whether any of his powerful companions survived. Everyone else had probably drowned. Levi chose on the spot. John was staying with him. Nobody would go through the trouble of planting a spy on someone as insignificant as him. It was simple work, but Levi could not trust anyone unreliable with it. Clay was sent to survey the southern bay now that the Naga had left, so Levi could plan how to develop those sea resources. Next, Levi informed John directly. He'd work for him exclusively, and if any powerful nobles found out about him, Levi'd have to silence him permanently. John was actually relieved by the contract arrangement. It was standard practice. John tried to talk him out of it. Levi informed him Levi just wanted to have the option and offered to trade something for his method. You needed 2 things: spiritual power above normal human levels to enter a meditative state, and elemental affinity that determined which type of magic you could learn and how fast you'd progress. His own meditation method was called lava meditation, a dual attribute fire and earth method usable up to 3rd rank, with fire being the primary element, which would prove Levi had the mental talent for magic, and whether Levi'd resonate with fire elements, which would mean Levi could use his specific method. If Levi could not handle the pressure at all, magic wasn't for him. He said it was technically possible, but nobody did it because life was too short to spread yourself thin. Levi disagreed silently. He needed an enchanted item and a fire magic core to set up the array. Time to find out if Levi had magical talent. The whole array glowed fiery red and radiated heat. She walked in, stayed 10 minutes, and came out fine, confirming the spiritual pressure was below 1st rank level and safe for him. When Levi stepped in, an invisible force immediately started hammering his brain. Dizzy, nauseous, deeply uncomfortable. Levi had no sense of time in there. Staying too long wasn't beneficial, but Mia thought he was up to something and blocked him. Once Levi caught his breath, Levi asked the big question. Next, he asked if Levi'd sensed any fire element fluctuations inside, red energy dots with a burning sensation. Levi had. John was surprised. Levi did not care about measuring exactly how much talent Levi had. Attribute points would handle the rest. Levi gave John everything Levi had. If he couldn't get home after 10 years, these would let him establish a family in the Alpha Kingdom. Formulas for 1st-rank healing potions, recovery potions, purification potions, the 1st-rank warrior advancement potion called Fading Potion, a 1st-rank meditation potion called Water Fairy Potion, and a 2nd-rank warrior potion formula. In the Alpha Kingdom, only the great noble houses possessed this recipe. Controlling its production meant having an unlimited supply of warrior professionals. Magic and knighthood were what mattered there. And Levi sat there staring at his pile of magical knowledge, barely able to contain his excitement. Looking at the Fading Potion formula, Levi found that all the secondary ingredients were common and cheap, under 5 gold coins total. Since the great nobles monopolized the formula, they'd probably controlled the fruit supply too. The Water Fairy Meditation Potion needed a magical sea plant called Water Fairy Grass. The hardest part of John's knowledge transfer wasn't the formulas. Material science, biology, mathematics, geometric arrays, physical theory. Was this transmigration or a punishment? Levi spent the rest of the day trying to enter a meditation state using the lava meditation method. Nothing happened. Levi just needed to get the door open. By the following day, Levi made his rounds inspecting the troops and farmland. Everything was running smoothly, going well, but the poor old man was exhausted. At that point, Charlie dropped a bombshell. He'd only had enough for 1,000 people for 3 months, and now their population had nearly doubled. Buy salt with the ocean right outside their walls? The entire Frost Moon province had no salt mines, so they imported from a neighboring province at high prices. And the kingdom didn't regulate salt prices. These people didn't know you could make salt from seawater. An entire province without salt, paying premium import prices, and Levi was sitting on an unlimited ocean. Following basic chemistry Levi remembered from middle school, Levi filled the pot with seawater and started boiling. After boiling most of the water away, Levi filtered the concentrated liquid through cloth several times to remove impurities, then continued heating. Levi scraped some off and tasted it. "Charlie, try this." "Young master, this is salt. There's salt in seawater." This stuff was still toxic for long-term consumption and wouldn't sell well either. The group took everything back to the distillery kitchen and tried dissolving, filtering, and reboiling the crude salt multiple times. Something was wrong and his middle school science knowledge had reached its limits. The moment he walked in, he recognized what Levi was doing. "You're purifying sea salt." John clearly knew the proper method. His filtering was just too crude to remove the toxic elements. After 3 days of experimenting together, the group successfully produced fine white salt. With sea salt figured out, Levi needed loyal people Levi could trust with these secrets. 3 second-rank ones, 11 first-rank, and 100 ordinary ones. The lava meditation method still wouldn't click, but the wind-chasing arrow technique reached beginner level and appeared on his panel. Next, Roger rushed back with urgent news. 11 ogres were heading towards Storm Castle. Ogres were one of the stronger species in the wilderness, usually raiding human territories for slaves to eat before winter. But this was spring. Back when Panda controlled the eastern mountains, ogres used to hunt there regularly. Levi immediately called up the troops to meet them outside the walls. Ogres were nasty creatures. They ate everything, including each other when desperate, but they especially loved eating intelligent beings' brains, which supposedly made them smarter. Roger's half-knight squad, Parker's infantry company, Jenkins's spear company, both archer squads, Mia, and even John, who volunteered when he heard about the ogres. He wanted him to capture one alive for research. When the group reached a spot about 8 kilometers northwest of the castle, his precognition confirmed the 11 ogres 2 kilometers ahead. His upgraded speed talent had apparently changed his threat assessment. Levi sent Roger's cavalry ahead to lure the ogres in, hid the infantry and archers on both sides, and used purification potions to mask their scent. The moment they entered the valley, Levi gave the signal. 2 volleys and every ogre except the 4th-rank leader was wounded. Levi personally shot down a 1st-rank and 2nd-rank, then switched to his 3rd-rank enchanted bow and aimed at the big one. Mia charged the 4th-rank leader. Roger's cavalry surrounded the stragglers at the rear. They smashed through wooden shields with single swings of their bone clubs, sending soldiers flying. Levi drew the 3rd-rank enchanted bow fully and fired at the 4th-rank ogre. Next, Levi shouted for John to hit a 3rd-rank ogre with a fireball. Levi had to chug 2 recovery potions immediately. Mia killed the last 3rd-rank ogre before Levi could shoot it. Levi switched to regular arrows and took down 1 2nd-rank ogre, but Roger got the other one. Another 10 points wasted. The group taken some casualties among the infantry, but nothing catastrophic. After the battle, Parker reported the casualties. Levi sensed the weight of it, but Levi could not afford to dwell on grief. What Levi could do was honor his promises and give the living something worth fighting for. His minor healing spell could only handle light external injuries. John looked at them and shook his head. Levi informed him to focus on the other wounded, especially the 2 facing permanent disability. A 9th-class merit for saving a common soldier seemed excessive, but he bowed and got to work. Lant and Rachi were elite soldiers with families back at Grey Fortress. Levi knelt beside them and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. Their children would have priority to join the military. He had no one, but he'd fought and died for Storm Castle, for him. He was a free commoner of Storm Castle. It would become the burial ground for all soldiers who fell defending the territory. Every soldier who died for the territory would have their name inscribed there, honored and remembered for generations. All three smiled at the same moment, then passed away peacefully. The group swear loyalty unto death. Before, these men followed him for the pay and benefits. Levi declared April 18th as Heroes' Day, to be observed every year in remembrance of those who gave their lives for the territory. It went far beyond political calculation. He couldn't decide whether following such an unusual leader was a blessing or a curse. Afterward, Levi finally checked his panel. Levi was pleased with the 121 energy essence points from the ogre battle, though frustrated Levi could not use them yet. The fight had also given his wind-chasing arrow technique one skill point through combat experience, confirming that real battles train weapon skills faster than practice. Ogre skin was excellent material for enchanted armor, worth over 1,000 gold for all 11. John knew how to preserve them properly, so Levi kept everything for future use or trade. Everyone earned a share of a collective 8th class merit worth 500 gold. Several surf archers earned enough individual merit to become free commoners on the spot. The knights had been too busy for northern patrols lately. Baron, these are arrow trees. Levi had no idea what he was talking about. John explained they were second-rank magical materials used to make first- and second-rank magic arrows. There were over 1,000 of them right here. Even better, arrow trees were renewable. The growth cycle was just 1 year. Another windfall falling right into his lap. 862 trees total. John sorted them. The first-rank ones wouldn't grow bigger due to poor soil nutrients, and upgrading the grove would require expensive magic crystals Levi could not afford. First-rank trees were still profitable. It was only 2 km from Storm Castle. Levi also told John that once Clay returned, Levi'd have him escort John on a survey of the entire territory. Today had proven that perfectly. Charlie and Levi selected 50 trustworthy serfs and signed them as household servants using ordinary contract scrolls. Loyalty mattered more than skill for this work. Next, Levi signed a second-rank contract with John using one of the expensive scrolls. Anyone who broke the terms would face severe divine punishment. Clay had also brought back materials for brewing the wolf fire potion. The expensive main ingredient, wolf bone marrow, the group had plenty of from the Gale wolf stockpile. Next, came the part one dreaded. 3 painful days later, Levi finished reading them. Magic wasn't just supernatural power. Every spell required complex calculations to construct. That explained why John couldn't explain the process clearly when Levi'd asked before. But Levi had 9 years of mandatory education from Earth. Armed with these insights, Levi tried the lava meditation method again. Levi slipped into a trance-like state when intense hunger jolted him awake. Entering a meditation state meant Levi'd reached Magic Apprentice level. Lava meditation method, beginner Magic Apprentice, 2 out of 100. John had needed 3 months to first enter meditation. His magical talent was apparently quite decent, at least much better than his knight, archer, and now mage. The foundation was set. After confirming his magic had reached apprentice level with 2 skill points from that single day-long meditation session, his stomach reminded him Levi hadn't eaten in over a day. Levi devoured everything in minutes. He'd waited 2 hours and gone back to the southern bay. He'd been methodically exploring all 5 islands and had found exposed iron ore on the last one. Levi could not get to that island fast enough. Levi'd ordered them built after Panda warned him that the 7th-rank Wolf King couldn't fly, making the islands a safe refuge. Their first boats were crude. But with John's help and some ideas Levi remembered from videos back on Earth, the group cobbled together vessels that could handle the calm bay waters. Levi followed Clay's tracks to the southern shore where he and John were waiting. Clay was grinning. The entire southern half of the island was one continuous iron deposit, and he suspected an even larger deposit lay beneath the seabed. A medium-sized iron mine at minimum, possibly large or even massive. This was beyond anything Levi'd imagined. Deeper extraction hit seawater problems that current Alpha Kingdom technology couldn't solve, but that was a future worry. Levi assigned Russell's new spear company to guard the mine in rotating shifts of 50. Iron meant weapons, armor, tools, and trade goods. With the iron mine discovered, Levi needed to solve the smelting problem immediately. The transportation costs from this remote location would eat all the profit. In this world, arms dealing and slave trading were the most profitable businesses with endless demand. What Levi found was depressing. This was supposed to be one of the castle's most important facilities. Why had previous barons let it get this bad? So focused he didn't notice them until Jenkins called out to him. Levi had freed him from slavery, and now, as a commoner blacksmith, he had a real future. Levi asked what he could make. Most regular blacksmiths could only make farm tools or do simple repairs. Next, Levi looked at their equipment and nearly lost it. Levi could not imagine how they managed to get iron hot enough to work with, and every other smith in the castle had the same setup. This wouldn't do at all, not with a whole iron mine to process. While waiting, Levi grabbed some animal hide and charcoal and started sketching designs for a proper forge furnace based on models Levi'd seen in videos back on Earth. Levi'd have to explain it verbally to the carpenter and hope he could figure it out. That project would have to wait until the group expanded the castle infrastructure. He'd already seen what his designs could do when Levi'd given them the curved plow blueprints. Levi spent the rest of that evening explaining his forge designs to all the craftsmen. Levi showed the stonemasons and bricklayers the furnace blueprints, then described the bellows concept carpenter verbally since Levi could not draw it properly. That night Levi recognized how desperately the territory needed educated people. Levi needed to find real talent and failing that, start training his own. You can't develop people who can't read. The territory mostly ran itself for now. Creel's Hall of Heroes was taking shape nicely. 7 days later, Jenkins reported the smithy renovation was complete. The reason was an unexpected discovery during meditation. Levi might have earth affinity. 2. He explained that generally, fewer affinities meant higher talent in each one. Most mages focused on their strongest element exclusively since life was too short to spread thin. Reaching apprentice level this quickly, especially in an environment with weaker magical energy than the southern continent, was genuinely impressive. The conventional wisdom about focus didn't apply to someone with an attribute point system. Points could handle breakthroughs. More abilities meant more options in combat, which meant more resources, which meant faster growth. On the 5th day, Levi succeeded. Levi inspected his panel. Earth Sync 0 Ring Spell Beginner Max, 37 attribute points saved up. Energy Essence at 146. But now Levi was a knight, an archer, and a mage who could literally pull the ground out from under someone's feet. 0 ring spells apparently couldn't level up further, but they still worked. 5m away, Levi could create a 3m wide hole about half a meter deep. Levi could cast it 5 or 6 times before his magical energy ran out completely. Levi wanted instant casting eventually. Without them, magic combat was severely restricted. The craftsmen had built 5 or 6 test kills based on his ideas combined with their charcoal kiln experience. Levi picked one up and tried to snap it. Not hard enough. Levi informed Toby to keep experimenting with water cooling methods instead of just air cooling. If John and Levi could figure out cement, then steel reinforced cement walls with proper water-cooled bricks might be even stronger than stone and much faster to build. The wooden and mud buildings inside the castle with brick ones. 3 days later, as Levi was about to inspect the Iron Mine Island, John came to him with exciting news. Out of 100 sets of materials, he'd wasted about 20 learning the process, then achieved a 30 to 40% success rate on the rest. Each one capable of boosting a first-rank knight's training speed by 30%, 28 doses. John handed him all 28 doses of Wolf Fire Potion, then warned him about the side effects. Wolf Fire Potion boosted 30% but could only be used 5 times before it started interfering with breakthroughs to the next rank. His attribute points could handle any breakthrough. Drug side effects were irrelevant when you had a cheat system. Levi made a mental note to look for more of these kinds of potions. Levi took his first dose immediately. Normally, with his poor talent, Levi could only train for 1 hour per day. It extended training time dramatically. But 28 doses wouldn't be enough to reach second rank at 1,000 points total. Levi trained with potions for 3 more days straight, pushing his total to 134. The panel system was making him greedy. Just as Levi was planning to rest, John showed up asking to visit the Cane River estuary. A magic staff, something that boosted casting speed and spell power, that was worth a personal trip. When the group reached the river mouth half a day later, everyone froze. Enormous creatures were bursting out of the water, and the surface was littered with torn flesh and corpses. The group dove into the trees to hide and watch the carnage unfold. John had actually crafted these single-lens scopes using magic. They worked better than anything Levi could have designed. Massive groups of unicorn whales and sawtooth sharks were tearing each other apart in a full-scale ocean war. John said something valuable must have appeared on the seafloor to trigger a fight like this. He'd seen it before. Next, 3 seventh-rank creatures, 2 sharks and a whale, burst from the surface. Levi shoved his head down lower and swallowed whatever brilliant treasure hunting idea Levi'd been about to suggest. Levi was eyeing the hundreds of dead magical beast bodies floating on the surface. Levi sent word back to the castle. The group waited a full day and night. Nobody could tell who won or whether the victors were still lurking below. Their only fighters were him at first rank, him at second rank, and Mia at fourth, and agreed to just wait longer. John jumped into a boat and headed out before Levi could even agree. Levi instructed the soldiers to start hauling bodies ashore, prioritizing the ones from professional-level beasts. Levi grabbed Mia and rowed out to him. When John excitedly told him a young unicorn whale was still alive, Levi nearly kicked him overboard. But it was just a small one, barely 2 m long, badly wounded with huge bite marks. Levi was not interested in ocean development right now, but Levi did not want to crush John's dreams of getting home someday. John explained that mages could form spirit contracts by exchanging mental imprints in each other's spiritual seas. He spent 2 hours trying, resting, and trying again, but the little whale refused to cooperate. Levi suggested the group just butcher it. Levi judged that was ridiculous. Following John's instructions, Levi entered the whale's spiritual sea after a few attempts. Levi waiting for his parents. Just a scared little kid. Offered to help find its parents, mentioned tasty fish and shrimp. Levi dropped the friendly act. Listen here. Next, Levi'll go back to land where your parents will never find him. You. Open your spiritual sea right now and let him leave his imprint, or Levi'm boiling you alive. It caved completely, didn't even negotiate conditions. And somehow the group ended up with a completely one-sided spirit contract in his favor. Like some creepy uncle who just bullied a child into submission. But hey, it worked. It had literally just been born during the battle and was bitten by a shark before it could even swim to deep water. Levi comforted it, promised his medicines could save it, and named it Little Quinn. Through the contract, Levi now had a permanent mental link with Little Quinn and could communicate with it at short range. So betrayal wasn't a concern. He asked worriedly if Levi'd promised the whale anything disadvantageous. The truth was even funnier. John treated Little Cohen's wounds while Levi inspected on Clay's salvage operation. Plus, shark teeth and whale horns as magical materials. Whoever won the battle had taken every last magic core, even the first-rank ones. Frustrating, but expected. Levi calmed it down and left Clay with 20 soldiers to nurse it back to health, feeding it healing and recovery potions every 4 hours. After 3 days of searching 3 kilometers of coastline, the staff was gone, probably swept away for good. He'd transplant them in Storm Bay, where they'd regrow every 6 months. John and Levi looked at each other in disbelief. This trip just kept giving. Levi'd heard they tasted amazing. In the inland markets, quality feathers sold for 5 silver coins each as decorations for noble ladies' gowns, and the meat was incredibly nutritious, especially valuable for children who hadn't started training yet. They could fly and dive underwater. John didn't understand why interested in boring ducks until Levi clarified their value. He pulled out a homemade sleeping potion he'd been developing. Levi tied the potion to an arrow and shot it into the densest part of the flock. The ducks all dove underwater in panic, but within minutes they started floating back up unconscious. The group collected Little Cohen from Clay's camp and traveled back along the coast. Back at Storm Castle, the entire city was covered in drying whale and shark meat. Levi rewarded that serf with 20 pounds of shark meat to encourage more independent thinking. Levi needed him to buy 100 sets of wolf fire potion ingredients, 100 sets of water, fairy potion materials, 1,000 sets of basic healing, recovery, and purification potion ingredients. Levi went back to training with the wolf fire potion, planning 7 straight days of cultivation. But on day 5 a messenger arrived with urgent news. Clay and his half-night squad managed to escape, then circled back to track the beastmen. When Levi heard Clay had been robbed by pig-headed beastmen, Levi just finished a training session. The messenger, apprentice Knight Eric, reported that 2 days ago about 300 pig-headed beastmen had intercepted Clay's group 20 kilometers west of the Cane River. The beastmen didn't chase Clay's cavalry, but took the slaves south into the Gray Mountains instead of heading north back to the wilderness. Levi reasoned their leader was probably third rank at most based on the second-rank scout leader they'd spotted. That was manageable. The 2nd Spear Company's remaining troops and the new archer squads would stay to guard Storm Castle under Vice Captain D'Area. Before leaving, Levi inspected his panel. 55 attribute points available. Levi left Flame / alone. Levi marched out with 2 infantry companies, 1 spear company, and 2 veteran archer squads. Clay had left horses and 2 knights hidden nearby since mounted combat was useless in the mountains. By noon, Clay himself came running back to meet them. Perfect timing, sir. They raided a bandit camp yesterday, grabbed some grain, and over 300 serfs. Levi asked about their strength. They'd also captured 2 first-rank human bandits alive. 3 hours was plenty of time to set up traps and prepare the ambush. After Levi gave the orders, everyone moved fast. Creel's company stayed behind to dig pit traps, and Parker and Jenkins split the main force to set up ambushes on both sides of the path the beastmen had been using. The captured serfs were in the middle of their column. Beyond that, there wasn't much Levi could do to protect them. The archer squads immediately hit the rear of their column. Chaos erupted. Mia locked onto the 3rd-rank chief. When he finally broke free to charge at him, Mia intercepted him. Next, Mia cut off both his legs. Clay killed the 2 first-rank pig heads. His company mopped up the survivors. Levi stood over their bodies in silence. The rescued serfs numbered 280 out of 312. Clay explained that the captured bandits had been frantically directing the serfs to lie flat during the fighting, which saved most of them. That caught his attention. Bandits protecting serfs? They insisted they weren't real bandits. In 2 years, they'd never robbed anyone, surviving purely through farming and foraging. Levi sent Clay to quietly verify their story with the rescued serfs while Levi questioned them. These men had genuinely spent 2 years in the wilderness without committing a single crime, and they'd risked their lives keeping those serfs safe during the battle. Now, that was interesting. After Clay confirmed the bandits' story through separate interviews with the serfs, all accounts matching perfectly, Levi was genuinely surprised. Levi asked them to explain their background. They were originally from the 3rd Company of Grave Fortress's 8th Battalion. Gady and George had been elite squad leaders under him. Riga took over the 3rd Company as captain, pushing Hildy down to deputy. Unable to return to the fortress, Hildy took Gady, George, and 10 surviving soldiers and hid in a bandit hideout in the Gray Mountains. The irony was staggering. Levi informed them Levi wouldn't punish them and offered to recruit them into Storm territory, 10-year contracts with full military pay. Clay cut in with fresh news. Both men went pale with shock, then dropped to their knees and swore loyalty. They had 8 newer recruits still with them. It was bittersweet. Only Gady and George survived from the old squad. 206 pig heads killed, including all 4 professionals. 70, 1 captured alive. Their losses were just 2 dead. Gady and George accepted 10-year military contracts after Levi verified their innocence through separate witnesses. Their surviving recruits followed them, giving Storm territory 2 principled first-rank warriors and 8 experienced soldiers. The victory also freed 280 captives who had expected slavery or death in the mountains. Levi's army seized weapons, armor, and more than 50 tons of grain from the defeated raiders. 2 Storm soldiers had died, and Levi refused to let the territory treat their sacrifice as a statistic. He awarded collective military merit, secured the prisoners, and ordered the rescued civilians escorted safely home. The husbands sent away as disposable now commanded knights, mages, craftsmen, farms, mines, ships, and loyal frontier companies. Storm territory was no longer a graveyard for unwanted nobles. It had become a growing shield against the northern wilderness. Levi still faced stronger enemies beyond the border, but his people now possessed food, defenses, wages, and a future. By protecting those others abandoned, Levi transformed his exile into the strongest foundation his frontier had ever known.